Hi there, and welcome to a webinar featuring our GX Plus. Before we get started, I just would like to let everyone know that this webinar today is going to be showcasing our GX Plus in North America. If you are anywhere outside of North America, if you are in, actually, even if you're in Canada, Europe, India, anywhere outside of the US, actually, what I should have said, your board might be just slightly different. So if you're not in the US, feel free to stay tuned. Keep watching, but just know that maybe some features might just be a little bit different. They might have different names or might be in different places, but today's webinar and the board you'll see today is the US version of our GX Plus board. With that, I'm actually going to hand it over to Jana, who is, so we're so lucky to have her because Jana is our GX Plus Pro. So with that, I'm going to hand it over.
Pro's a strong word, Mish. I don't know about that, but I'm excited to be here. As Mish mentioned, my name's Jana. I'm an education solutions consultant with SMART. I support the South Central Pod here in the U.S., and I am a former teacher. So I'm really excited to be here today to just help give you some ideas on how to utilize your SMART GX Plus board with your content to bring those lessons to life. So hopefully by the end of today, you'll have ways to see that this board is more than just a display, and we want you utilizing it more than just a display. It's actually an interactive teaching tool that's going to bring your lessons to life that are going to be great for the teacher, but also for the students in the classroom. So I'm going to show you a variety of different ways that you can import content and some of the features and functions directly within the board itself and how they pair together to, again, just bring those lessons to life. So keep in mind that as we go through the examples today, everybody teaches something different. Everybody has a different grade level, a different content area, and even the students within your room are going to be different. So even though I may be showing a content-specific example or even a grade level example, there's always ways that you can utilize how to change what you're seeing to fit your unique classroom. And if you ever need ideas for that, you're welcome to reach out to your local ESC. We're happy to help you figure out how this looks within your unique classroom. All right, we'll get started. Before we start looking at how to incorporate some of these lessons and the features that we're going to use to make them a little bit more engaging, I want to point out that it's really important that you have connected your files in your cloud drive to your GX Plus. Everything that I'm going to do today, I'm doing it in an untethered experience. So I do not have a laptop or a computer connected to my GX Plus, even though that is an option if you choose to do so. But one thing I really love about this board and what teachers really love about this board is the ability to access the content that you're utilizing every single day within your fingertips. So really quickly, just in case you're not familiar, I'm going to swipe down from the top. And if I swipe down from the top, this little icon down here that looks like a person, that's going to give me my different profiles within my SMART GX Plus board. So you want to make sure that you are signed into your profile before you link any cloud drives. This is going to be secured behind a pin. You can go back and watch my Getting Started with GX Plus webinar, and I'll show you exactly how to set this account up, create a pin. That way you can rest assured that those files live secure behind a protected pin and not anybody just has access to them. So again, I am in my unique profile and I need to connect my cloud drives. There's a couple of different ways that you can connect your cloud drive to your profile. One way is to utilize the Files Manager icon. So this is going to be right down here on my GX Plus. It might live in a different location on your board. It could even live in your apps drawer. But again, this board is very tablet-like. So things like long pressing and dragging and dropping allow you to customize it. I like my Files Manager right here. It's really easy access. So when I open up my Files Manager, I'm actually going to step to this side. Notice how I have a couple of different options over here on the left-hand side. Anything that I do locally to my board will be stored in these folders, and that's important. If you do some inking on a browser or you take a screenshot, you absolutely can then utilize and find those screenshots to be able to import into whiteboards later on, and that's going to live here. But for this particular one, I'm going to look at my cloud drive. Notice how I have already synced my Google Drive. When I was a teacher in the classroom, all of my teaching files lived within a Google Drive, but you absolutely could also connect your OneDrive. So depending upon whatever cloud drive you're using, absolutely sync that with your SMART GX Plus board so that you're going to have very easy access to those files. I mentioned there was a couple of places that you could find your files. One of them was in the Files Manager. The other one specifically for me, because I'm a Google user, I'm absolutely going to utilize that Google Drive app right there on my board as well. So you can click on the app and access your files that way as well. So important to know, how are we going to bring our lessons to life? The first thing that we're going to do is start with content that we already have. You absolutely can create on your board, but being a former classroom teacher, we know that you don't have a lot of extra time to do that. So I'm going to show you how you can take that content that lives within your cloud drive and make it a little bit more engaging. So most of our examples today are going to live within our whiteboard app. And again, I'm going to show you some features, hopefully give you some ideas on how you can bring that content beyond just being static. So I'll actually go back and show you where I access that. So that whiteboard app lives directly on your home screen. Again, you can move it wherever you choose. I like it right there, easy access, and pulls up a blank screen. You absolutely can pick up your GX Plus and pen and begin inking. Great for taking notes. But again, the goal for today's webinar is to take these static lessons and bring a little bit more life into them. So I'm going to show you where to find the files that we've been talking about that live in that drive. So on the bottom left-hand side, you have a little menu button here. I call it the hamburger, 3 horizontal lines, whatever you choose. And whenever I select that, notice how I get a lot of different options here. I can do a new whiteboard. I can open something. I can save my whiteboard, which is important, and I can share it. I can change the theme, but I'm going to choose the import button. And when I choose import, I have a lot of different file types. A lot of the files that live within my particular Google Drive are PDFs. But again, you can see the different file types that you have the ability to import into your whiteboard. So I'm going to choose PDF. And then I know that I'm looking for something in my cloud drive. So I'm going to change that to cloud. Find my Google Drive. And for this first example, I'm actually going to choose something that is not content specific. I love using the GX Plus for something other than, what the goal of teaching for that day is. So maybe you're looking for something that's a quick engagement or a morning meeting or something to get your kids up here utilizing the board. Back in the day, I used to love to pick up the chalk or even the dry erase board and utilize. My mom was a teacher, loved to be able to do it. We absolutely encourage you to use the smartboard with your students as well. So who doesn't love a good this or that? So this was just a PDF that I had living in my Google Drive. So again, threw it up there, pick up the pen. Students can then, let me move that back. Make sure that I choose my pen. There we go. And they can immediately begin voting. Do you choose sweet or do you choose salty? It's a really great way to increase discussion and get the conversation flowing within the classroom. If I had to choose, I'm going to be a salty girl. I will always choose chips over ice cream. So, all right, I'm going to show you some other examples, more content specific this time. For each one, I'm going to add just a new whiteboard, keep it fresh again. And the way that I do that is my little hamburger over there. I'm going to select the new. It does give me the option to save or discard if I want to. I'm just going to get rid of it for this particular example, but you absolutely could save. And I'll show you in a little bit how you can move that directly to your Google Drive as well. All right, we'll go back to our whiteboard. Same thing. I'm going to import another PDF this time. Go back to import, PDF. I'm going to again access my cloud drive. This time I'm going to grab something a little bit more content specific. I was a math and science teacher for many, many years, over 10 years. So teaching the water cycle was something that I taught every single year. As a 5th grade teacher, but we also know that these concepts start really early on and even accelerate into the secondary level. We just build upon them. So again, think about how you can make this content work for within your particular classroom. So got this great PDF right here. I can absolutely, just like the first one, pick up my pen, begin inking. So this might be, we're labeling evaporation, we're labeling condensation, precipitation. But again, we can go beyond just what I've imported in here, which is likely what you would do as a teacher in the classroom. You realize really quickly where your students need a little bit more instruction and you pivot. And that's what we do as teachers, we pivot. And so to be able to have tools built within the whiteboard to make that pivoting even easier is going to make this lesson be a lot more interactive. So I'm going to actually add a new page. Obviously, we would probably fill this out, but again, for this particular example, and to show you what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a different page. So this time I'm going to go to the bottom right, and I'm just going to add a page. I'm going to rewrite that word evaporation. Let's say this time, this was the vocabulary word that I really wanted to focus on. Through my discovery and just asking my students questions, I really discovered that they need a little bit more practice, visual, maybe support on what evaporation looks like. So I just inked that on there, and I'm going to use my finger, and I'm going to select that word. So notice when I select evaporation, I get this really unique, cool toolbar here. I can smart write it, which will turn my handwriting into text. A little bit easier to read, but there's also some different options here. Notice the translate button. If you do have students that need to see text in different language, absolutely a fantastic tool there. You can translate it so that they can see it not only in English, but also in their native language. For this particular example, I'm going to use this search button. Notice the search button right in the middle here. When I click search, it gives me two options. It gives me Google, gives me Wikipedia. I'm a Google girl, but you absolutely could choose whichever one is your preference. And it automatically pulls up a Google search of the word evaporation. So we could definitely talk about the definition my students could see. But again, I really want to enhance this on a visual level. So a good teaching tip here would be to use the split screen button. So split screen in the GX Plus lives down here in your convenience bar. It's this square rectangle with two vertical lines. When I select that, I then get the option to split. Notice it's the one screenshot split. I'm going to hit split. And then I'm going to choose the whiteboard that I was just working on. Notice now I've got a split screen of what we searched for and my vocabulary word. But I'm going to take it even a step further. I'm going to go over to my images here. I want to enhance this lesson with some visuals. It's as simple as dragging, long pressing, and dropping. So notice how I can grab some really great visuals to just help my students better understand the different examples that we can find with evaporation. So here's maybe a real world one, not so much animated. And I can go through and continue to grab a bunch of different examples of what evaporation looks like just by simply long pressing and dragging and dropping from my Google search in my split screen to my whiteboard. So to close that out, there it is. So I started with that PDF. We did a little bit of a search within the whiteboard, and we enhanced that lesson and that knowledge with just some visuals. If I want to take it one step further, I can also search and insert a video. So static images are great, but we all know that students learn a lot by watching visual or videos. So I'm going to show you where that feature lives within the whiteboard as well. So if you go down to your whiteboard, you have this more button. I encourage you to be a button pusher in that more menu. I'm not going to go through all of the different features today. There are definitely some that are more specific to some content and some grade levels than others, but there's definitely something that lives in there for everyone. So in your time, definitely check that out. But for today, I'm going to specifically point out that search feature. So there's that search button again. And if I click search, notice now how I can search for an online picture. So if I didn't want to drag and drop, I could absolutely utilize that. Or I could search within YouTube, give it a quick title, search for evaporation. And then here's all the videos that I can choose from. And I can insert that directly into my whiteboard and have a video ready to go. Don't worry, when you hit play, it'll play full screen. So you don't have to worry about the video playing in a really small thumbnail. So again, started with the PDF, used the search feature from within the whiteboard, split screen with my Google search, dragged and dropped some visuals and inserted a video right there. So you can see how we took a static lesson and made it more engaging and just enhanced knowledge within just a few minutes. I didn't have to email myself anything, plug in my computer to be able to show a video. I found all of those tools directly within my whiteboard. All right, I'm going to grab a new one and we'll look at the next example. This time I'm going to actually utilize a couple of different things. I'm going to utilize the files within my cloud storage, just like I've been showing you. But this time I'm going to add in one of our tools, our widgets that is going to be found on our side toolbar. And I'll show you where to find that in just a second. But before we do that, I'm going to access that content. So I'm going to go back to my menu, import again, another PDF. Find my cloud storage. And this time we're taking it to the primary grade. So consonant, vowel, consonants. Again, this can be utilized in a lot of different fun, unique ways. So think about how you can really make this work for your classroom and your students. I also want you to notice that that was importing 12 pages within the PDF. You don't have to have just a one-page PDF or document, PowerPoint, whatever file you're importing. You can have multiple different pages. So I can go over to my little page sorter over here and absolutely take a high-level view of all of the different pages that it just imported from that file. But for this particular one, we'll keep it on page 1. And notice how this is an I Spy activity, specifically with short A sounds and consonant, vowel, consonant. So again, you can absolutely pick up your pen, have your students find whatever it is they're looking for, circle, check it off. But if you want to utilize some fun tools and some fun widgets built directly within the whiteboard, I encourage you to check out the side toolbars. So they actually live on both sides, the left-hand side and the right-hand side. I'm going to open up the right-hand side just so you can see. There we go. Just so you can see some of the options there. I've actually customized this bar to house the widgets that I'm using more frequently, but you absolutely can change them out. That little more button gives you the ability to kind of see what lives in there. And if you find yourself using the timer or the stopwatch more than maybe the spotlight or the class setting, you absolutely can change that. But for today's example, I'm going to show you the spotlight. It's a really cool little feature, and students absolutely love using this on the smartboard. So I get a little settings here. I want to make this as dark as possible. So I'm going to darken that clarity there. You can even change the diameter of the zoom to fit whatever it is that you are wanting to have a spotlight on. So for this particular example, I think it'd be really fun for students to utilize this in maybe a small group setting or a station, and they can use the spotlight. Maybe we're looking for the word hat. So lowercase a, consonant, vowel, consonant. You could even have students sounding things out verbally or in their mind as you go through each of the different pictures here until you find the hat. So again, a really fun little cool tool that lives in that side toolbar of your GX Plus, can be utilized in a lot of different ways. I can exit out of it. There it is. We found the hat, we circled it, and we marked it off. So hopefully, if you haven't had a chance to check out some of those widgets that live in that toolbar, you take a few minutes to do that. There's some really great ways that you can use that with the lesson content that you already have. All right, let me grab a new one and we'll continue on. Give you a couple more examples. Actually, yeah, 2 more in the whiteboard, and then I'm going to show you another fun tool from the side toolbar that you can utilize with Google Slides or with anything, but we'll hop out of the whiteboard and look more at Google Slides. I'm going to import again, go back to my PDF, access my cloud drive again, and this time bring in some PDFs that specifically are highlighting nouns, verbs, and adjectives. I was a math and science teacher. This was not my jam, but I absolutely understand that it is something that is taught across the world. So it's important that everybody understands nouns, verbs, and adjectives. But again, as we look at the interactive pieces within this, think about how it could be utilized in your classroom. So if I were a classroom teacher and I was teaching nouns, verbs, and adjectives, I would absolutely probably start with my static content, toggle through, talk to my students about what a noun is. It's a person, it's a place, it's a thing. Really look at what verbs are, talk about the definition, look at some examples, and then obviously adjectives as well. But if I want to take this a step further, make it more interactive with my students and have them utilize the smartboard, I'm going to show you a really fun feature. To do that, I'm just going to add a blank page. Remember, if you want to add a blank page in your whiteboard, it's just that add button down there. And I'm actually, before I show you the feature, I'm going to change the background. Little teacher tip here, and I'll show you why I'm changing the color of the background in just a second. But in order to do that, I go back to my hamburger theme, and I'm going to choose a bright one. I'm feeling purple today, if you can't really tell based on what I'm wearing. So I'm going to change the background color, and again, I'll show you why. Now I'm going to find that feature that I think your students will really love. I'm going to go back to my More button. Remember earlier I showed you the search feature where you could find an online picture or video. Also, a feature that lives in that menu is pair mode. So if I choose pair mode, notice it gives me 2, 3, or 4. Well, I happen to be teaching nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So I'm going to choose 3. And it automatically divides my smartboard into 3 different equal parts. So nouns, verbs, and adjectives. And if I were the classroom teacher, I would absolutely have my students come up here, take turns, contributing to the 3 different columns and gathering a list of a bunch of different examples. Notice you can also change the color of the ink at the bottom. So I can absolutely have 3 different colors of ink, and you don't have to worry about students getting into other students' spaces. So notice how it automatically partitions off each space and allows students to be able to have their own unique space within the whiteboard, but also contribute to the lesson. I changed that background color because I feel like it makes it a little bit easier to see the 3 different columns. Otherwise, it's just a white background. You're still going to have the divider, but I like to be able to see it visually better. I've seen this utilized a lot of ways, not only for something like nouns, verbs, and adjectives, but think about a math teacher that wants to show multiple different ways to solve a math problem. Or anytime you're using a triple T chart, what do you know? What do you want to know? What have you learned? So again, great feature built within the board. When you hit the back button, notice it does not erase everything. This content will stick within your whiteboard. So if you want to share this content later, maybe to your LMS, you absolutely can do that. And while I'm on that, the More button there, if I click share, it will export these pages, and notice the different options that it gives me to share this whiteboard file. So we took that static content, we added some student contributions in. I want to make sure that I save it. Notice how I can drop it right into my Google Drive, or I can email it, I can print it, and then it's a really quick upload to my LMS for maybe students that were absent that day or for an upcoming review. So something I definitely like to point out. All right, one more within the whiteboard, and then I'll show you something really quick with Google Slides. I'm going to import this time we'll keep the background purple, another PDF. We're going to go secondary for a little bit. So if you are a secondary teacher out there and you've been wondering what lives in that whiteboard for you, there's definitely some things in addition to what I've already been showing you. But this time I'm going to grab something that is completely out of my element, but I know will be relevant for several of you out there, counting atoms and molecules. So again, being able to bring that content directly in, that static content, and add to it. is invaluable. So I'm going to go back to that more button again. Remember, be a button pusher, see what lives in here. We looked at pair mode. We looked at the search button. There's obviously some great features in here, but for this particular one, I'm going to grab that simulation. I happen to know that there is actually an atom simulation that lives directly within this widget within my whiteboard. Notice my options up here. If you're a physics teacher, math teacher, chemistry teacher, you absolutely can choose any of those topics. Find a simulation that works best for whatever you are teaching. And it's just a simple few taps. And there you go. You have a hands-on digital manipulative interaction built directly into this lesson. Could be used as the teacher whole group, or absolutely could be used as a station. So again, I encourage you to check out the different features and functions within the whiteboard that's going to help bring your content to life. Before I pass it back over to Mish, I did mention that I wanted to show you another feature that lives in our side toolbar, and it's going to be the class function. So this is a way that you can get your students connected to your lesson and have them have a say, have them have input, and then you're also going to get valuable teaching feedback for yourself, and I'll show you what I mean. So I love having access to Google Slides right here. So I've got the app downloaded directly on my GX Plus. I'm going to open up my Google Slides app and find those Google Slides that I happen to be teaching that day. So in this particular case, looks like I was teaching my students about space. We were going on a virtual field trip. Really great stuff from my curriculum team. Absolutely would go through this. But at the end of my Google Slides, notice I do have some slides that have some A, B, C choices, some multiple choice questions. And I mentioned that you can actually use a tool in your GX Plus to have individual students contribute. So I'm going to actually show you how that works. I am going to just find one. So maybe this is the one that I want to quiz my students on. Did they understand what the name of our galaxy is? I'll go ahead and put it in presenter mode. Present on this device. And then I'm going to go access that side toolbar. Again, remember the left and the right are the exact same. So I'm going to grab it from over here. And I'm going to select the class option. I used the spotlight earlier. This time I'm going to use the class. Notice then it pops up a little box here. It gives my students a URL. I can actually grab a QR code too. So if you had students with iPads, you absolutely could click the QR code and they can scan it in order to enter your class, or just walk them through joining the different URL. class.ifpshare.com. So I already know that Mish is on the other end there, and she has joined my AIR class with my unique code. That code does change. So every time you initiate a new session, you're going to get a new code. It does prompt the student to put their name in, so you're going to be able to see whose contribution is whose. And then it tells me how many users I have joined. So if I hit enter, I get a really cool little floating toolbar here. There are some different features here. I've got the voter, which I'm going to show you in just a second. The responder, the selector. No need are the days for the popsicle sticks anymore unless you just want to. But you absolutely can use the selector option. So any of your students that happen to be logged into your class, you hit the selector, it selects one, and then that student has the ability to answer that question. But for this particular example, I'm going to show you the voter option. So I'm going to slide it off to the side so we could see what the question is. What is our galaxy called? And on Misha's end, she's able to see some different options, A, B, C, D. You can absolutely have more than 3. And then she has the ability to choose. Once I hit the begin, she's able to select her vote. It's going to pop up in this little middle box here. I could absolutely select Misha's name, see how she answered individually. Or if I finish it, I then get a really great class overview of how the class responded to this particular multiple choice question. So I can really quickly as a teacher gauge, yep, they got it, or maybe I need to go back and do a little bit of reteaching. There might have been some misconceptions there. So really great way to get student devices and students involved in your everyday lessons. I do have the ability to save this if I want to, or I can just exit out of it. All right, so hopefully today you were able to see multiple different examples on how you could just use the existing content that you already have and add interaction quickly. You saw how I was very quickly able to access my files from within my cloud drive and just use a few of those features within the whiteboard or maybe even the toolbars on the side to make it a little bit more engaging for students. So simple tools, but big instructional impact. Mish?
All right, that was awesome, Jana. While I kind of close out here, by any chance, do you have the slides I sent you? And if you don't, that's totally okay.
Oh, I do. The ones from our chat?
Yes, that would be perfect. So while you're going over those, I just want to say a really big thank you to Jana for being here. She really shows us so many great ideas no matter what grade or content you teach. Even if the examples she showed don't directly apply to you, think about how you can kind of adapt those to what it is that you do teach. And I also want to add in that this was kind of like a part 2 to the GX Plus. If you feel like, whoa, I need to take a step back, I need a little bit more of an intro. In just a moment here, I'm going to drop in the chat. Here we go. We have a playlist on our Smart Technologies YouTube page that's specifically all about the GX Plus. So on there, you will find a few things. There's going to be a webinar that Jana also does because she is my GX Plus Pro on getting started with the GX board. So she'll show you some of the things that she showed you today, but also very, very baseline level of how do you just get started with that board. Jana, if you can't pull it up, don't worry about it. And then also, beautiful. You'll also notice in that playlist, there's a couple other getting started little videos that you can participate in as well. And then also, if you don't know yet, we also have, and I'm going to pull up Jana's screen here. If you can pop over to my resource slide there, slide 3.
Got it.
All right, beautiful. So we also have an academy, and I'm going to drop that in the chat for you as well. And if you are brand new to using your GX Plus board, I want to make sure that you know about the academy. The link there is in the chat. There are 2 courses that you can take. There is a simple getting started with your GX Plus board. And then if you want to just dive into just the whiteboard, there is a second course you can take that's specifically focused on just the whiteboard. So link in the chat. For those of you that are not here live time, I have the email up on the screen, globalcommunities@smarttech.com. Email us. We'll send you all the links that you need to know, but it is academy.smarttech.com. If you make an account there, you'll be able to access both of those courses. At the end of the course, you get a badge, you get a certificate, and you can also log that credit hour. And then the very last thing you'll see on that page, we also have an ambassador community. So I'm going to drop in the chat here for you as well, an application if you'd like to be part of that community. And what that is, it's kind of like imagine Facebook, but if it just existed for just folks that use Smart. So that's a really good place to come to stay connected with folks all over using the same products as you. It's a good place to ask questions and stay connected. And if you're not logged on live time, you don't see what I'm dropping in the chat, you can use that same email address below, globalcommunities@smarttech.com. Email us and say, hey, I'd like to join that ambassador platform, and we'll send you the application via email as well. And last but not least, if you'd like a certificate, the survey is in the chat. And then, Jan, if you can go to the next slide as well, that will be up on the screen for you as well. So if you'd like to earn your certificate, there is that link to complete the survey. And as always, we really appreciate everyone's time. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Jana, thank you so much for being my GX Plus Pro.
It's always a joy.
All right, everyone. See you next time.